welcome into your Monday morning FreightWaves Now Community Spotlight. I'm Kaylee Nix here with Mike Bowden-Distel, host and writer of the Stock Out Show and newsletter. And today we are talking all things retail and CPG, focusing on one of the giants. Mike, thank you for being here.
No problem. Good to be here. Always fun to talk Amazon.
Yeah, we've got an interesting topic to cover today because Amazon continuing to find itself in just a little bit of hot water and from a couple different directions right now. Let's start off with talking about a distributor classification that it's been dealing with for a while and what the ramifications would be if it ends up being classified as a distributor.
Yeah, so there's reports that the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is going to order Amazon to be considered a distributor specifically for the Amazon Marketplace portion of the business. So Amazon Marketplace is that 60% of sales where Amazon doesn't take any of the inventory risk. They're really just a storefront. All the sellers are in business for themselves, and Amazon is just what facilitates getting those products in consumers' hands. A lot of times it's not clear to the consumer whether they're buying something directly from Amazon or from a third party. And if you've ever been kind of disappointed in the quality of something on Amazon, probably came from a third-party seller. Maybe it was in a warehouse for an extended period of time. I know a lot of people who do things like build computers can be disappointed with the SD cards or memory storage or those things that are either just sort of lower quality or not what they paid for. And so some people just don't use Amazon for those reasons. But really what the Consumer Product Safety Commission is after is wanting to make sure that nothing is unsafe as far as toys or products that babies would use or components would come off of a toy and kid would swallow it or something like that. So they're trying to prevent those type of things. And the reason why anyone should care about this or why Amazon should care about this is that it would put more burden on Amazon to potentially screen those third-party sellers more aggressively. There would be additional costs there. Amazon would be responsible for recalls. And so Amazon doesn't want to be just considered a distributor. They don't want that liability, that risk. But I think there's pretty big implications in terms of what sellers they would allow in the marketplace, how they would vet them. I think there's a lot of implications also for various other marketplaces out there. I mean, I think maybe the biggest one there is Walmart Marketplace, which is basically, it seems like a copy of the Amazon Marketplace. It gives third parties a chance to sell through Walmart's website as well. I mean, maybe it also has potential to impact eBay. You think of that as being a big marketplace over there. At least it's obvious that you're buying from a third-party seller and not eBay, whereas as Amazon, a lot of that it's just really not clear all the time. If you get that buy box, whether you're buying from Amazon or a third party.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discerning as a consumer to work through what is actually coming from Amazon itself versus what is coming from that third party. When it comes to a classification like this, if it changes from a marketplace seller to a distributor, what would that mean for their transportation and logistics goals and the process that Amazon currently runs through right now? We know that they are a massive transportation provider for these third-party sellers, and you mentioned that that's 60% of their business. That's where they've built a bulk of their success and been able to compete with the other logistics providers. Does that throw a wrench in some of their plans to continue expanding and really profit off of that side of the business?
Potentially, it could. I mean, I think the third-party sellers. What's interesting there is it gets into maybe the other topic we're going to talk about is the FTC lawsuit. Is in order for the third-party sellers to qualify for Prime, they have to use the Amazon fulfillment centers and with it, the Amazon Transportation Network, and that's a huge deal because Amazon Prime customers spend 4 times as much as a non-Amazon Prime customer. So it's $2,000 a year for Prime customers is what they spend versus $500. And people who have that Prime, which is really it's most U.S. households at this point, they really want to use it, get those fast delivery times and free shipping and all of those things. Otherwise, why am I paying for this? So it's really, if they scale back, the number of third parties that they allow or charge extra fees or those things, it could make things pretty difficult. I mean, it's part of the FTC lawsuit also was that the third party sellers really have these onerous fees that make it very difficult to be profitable on Amazon as a seller. So the FTC says, well, some of these fees all in represent about 50%, can represent up to 50% of the total sales, which basically makes it impossible or at least very difficult to be profitable on Amazon.
So, of course, when we're talking about these issues, the way that they're going to get resolved comes in two different ways, right? The Consumer Product Safety Commission ends up coming down to a vote, whereas the FTC lawsuit is a full and legitimate lawsuit right now. Talk to us a little bit about the next steps in the Consumer Product Safety Commission vote and what that looks like, what would immediately happen if they vote to make Amazon a distributor.
Yeah, so it's not exactly clear exactly sort of when that's going to happen or exactly what would change immediately. It seems likely to me they would classify it as a distributor. I mean, I think those type of safety commissions want to err on the side of making things safer for consumers. So we'll see what happens there. The FTC lawsuit, Amazon filed a motion to get the lawsuit dismissed. FTC sort of countered, sort of explaining why they didn't think it was going to be dismissed. So it looks like it's not going to be dismissed at this point. It'll go forward. I think that one could end up in the courts for a number of years. So I don't know that anything is immediately going to change, but these are all things that CPG companies need to think about when they craft their online strategies.
So then now as they're looking at this and maybe looking for alternative options, is Walmart, and Walmart's marketplace, as you mentioned, is basically a carbon copy of what Amazon does. Are they maybe chomping at the bit to gain some of this business? And could that be a really good point for them to claim some of this? Is there some uncertainty about the future of Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, they could take a little bit of a different approach and maybe do something that is a little bit more friendly to the third-party sellers. I mean, I read through that FTC complaint, at least the parts of it that were not redacted. And what I gathered was, okay, if Amazon really is abusing a monopoly position like the FTC alleges, it's really not the consumers that are harmed. If they are, they're too dumb to realize it. I mean, 91% of the satisfaction rate for Prime, and virtually everyone uses Amazon. It's the ones that are harmed by it are these third-party sellers who feel like they have to be on Amazon in order to get their name out. At the same time, they're not making any money selling anything on Amazon because the fees are so high, and they have to potentially buy advertising space in order to get high on the list. But Walmart could take a little bit of a different approach and maybe work with the third parties a little bit more, maybe tie it a little bit more to what's on sale in store, make it a little bit easier to be profitable there. So they could take a little bit of a different approach.
So if Amazon is the blueprint and Walmart is now the second copy, are there other opportunities that could arise for secondary, tertiary online marketplaces that would maybe not necessarily compete as much with Amazon, but could have some success because they just aren't the behemoth?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, things that are more specialized and reputable. I mean, I think the problem with Amazon is you don't really know who the third party is right now that is selling the product. And so like I've seen a lot of posts online that says if you want certain computer component or something like that, absolutely don't buy it on Amazon because who knows who's actually where it's coming from. Is this a knockoff copy, some cheap thing that's not really what you're paying for? Go to a computer specialty store like Micro Center, therefore you know what you're getting. Yes, it might be more expensive. Yeah, it might be more inconvenient. You have to drive there and you're not going to get it in one day like on Amazon, but still to mitigate your risk, you can do it from some other thing. So it does make me wonder that if ultimately Amazon is classified as distributor, kicks out some of these third parties that are less reputable. I mean, they to be fair, I mean, they do say that they have some processes in place to kick out third parties that are either not reputable or have seem to get a lot of returns or seem to have products that are fake and all those things. And Amazon does have a lenient return policy, but I think if Amazon gets this classification as a distributor and they are have a tougher screening process with these third parties, and it's really a higher barrier to be a third party seller on Amazon Marketplace. it might actually help them because more people would want to go to Amazon, which is hard to imagine because Amazon's so big already. But that's kind of how I feel.
It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. Mike, thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, we'll catch the stock out later on this afternoon.
No problem. Good to see you.